In Edo, Japan, little girls who sold for the price of a meal sometimes wore 12 layers of silk by their 16th birthday. These children scrubbed fish guts until their hands bled, then grew up to wear fingernails so long they couldn't dress themselves. The Oiran, Japan's highest-ranking courtesans, were literally worth their weight in gold, but couldn't buy their own freedom. So yeah, if these stories help you sleep, subscribe. And I'm curious, where are you listening from? Comment your city and time. Sometimes I see someone from California listening at 3 p.m. and I'm like, are you napping? All right, tonight it's Yoshiwara's Floating World. But before we go anywhere, get cozy, like actually cozy. Pillows good? Blanket situation handled? Perfect. Trust me on this one. The year is 1702, and you're waking up behind your father's fish stall in Edo. The tatami mat beneath you is worn thin, prickly strands poking through to stab your back. Your ragged cotton yukata reeks of last night's mackerel, a smell so embedded in your skin that you've stopped noticing it. Dawn hasn't broken yet, but the heavy summer air already sticks to your skin like wet paper. You can hear your father coughing in the next room, that same horrible hack that took your mother last winter. Your stomach growls. Yesterday you ate only a handful of rice and some pickled radish. The year's been hard. Floods destroyed most crops and fish have been scarce. Your father's stall barely makes enough to pay the landlord, let alone feed 2 mouths. Hey, you say to yourself, stretching your cramped legs. At least we're not eating boiled leather like the family next door. You scratch mosquito bites on your ankles and reach for the wooden bucket. Time to fetch water from the well before the morning rush. You're 8 years old and this is the only life you've ever known. You slip your feet into straw sandals, the left one falling apart at the toe. The morning feels different somehow, but you can't place why. At the well, a woman with impossibly white skin watches you, not just regular pale, like porcelain, like she's never seen the sun. Her kimono shimmers with embroidered cranes that seem to fly as she moves, and her hair rises from her head in glossy waves, adorned with golden pins that tinkle softly when she tilts her head. "Who's that with her?" a nearby vendor whispers to his wife. "The other fancy one?" You turn to see a second woman, equally spectacular, examining the dried fish hanging from a nearby stall. These women do not belong in your world of dirt streets and struggle. They belong in paintings or stories travelers tell. "Oiran," the vendor's wife whispers back, her voice hushed with awe. "From Yoshiwara." Back at your father's stall, you find him talking to these magnificent creatures. The taller one kneels before you, lifts your chin with cool fingers. She examines your face like she's appraising a pearl, turns your hands over, checks your teeth, peers into your ears. "Good bones," she tells your father. "Intelligent eyes. No obvious defects." Your father won't look at you. The second woman hands him a pouch. When it lands in his palm, the thud sounds final, like a temple bell announcing death. "Father," you say, but he turns away. "Be good," he mumbles. "You'll eat white rice there. Sleep on silk." Before you understand what's happening, you're walking away with these women, their attendants carrying elegant lacquered boxes. You look back once. Your father has already gone inside. "What's happening?" you ask, your voice small. "You've been sold to Yoshiwara," says the woman matter-of-factly. "You'll be a kamuro, an attendant at the Yorozu house. If you work hard and grow up pretty, you might become an Oiran yourself one day. You've heard of Yoshiwara, the pleasure district where beautiful women entertain rich men, where lanterns glow all night and music never stops. It sounds like a dream, but the knot in your stomach feels like a nightmare." By afternoon, you've travelled farther from home than ever before. The palanquin they put you in smells of incense and perfume, not fish. Your head spins. Through the window, you watch ordinary life. Farmers in fields, merchants with carts, children playing, all continuing without you in it. As sunset paints the sky, enormous wooden gates appear, painted bright red. Above them, golden characters spell out Yoshiwara, the floating world. Guards stand on either side, checking visitors, turning some away, but they bow to your palanquin. This is where the outside world stops, the woman tells you as you pass through, and a different world begins. The main street stretches before you, lined with cherry trees and lanterns. Women in brilliant kimonos stand behind wooden lattices like exotic birds in gilded cages. Music drifts from tea houses. Men in fine clothes laugh and call to one another. The air smells of perfume, sake and incense, so different from the fish and sweat of your old life. Nakanocho, the woman says, gesturing to the street, the heart of Yoshiwara. Your palanquin stops at a 3-story building with a grand entrance. A woman in a severe dark kimono waits at the door, her hair pulled back in a simple bun, her face creased with authority. Around her, young women scatter like startled birds. House mother, your escort explains in a whisper. She runs Yorozu House. Fear her more than demons. The house mother inspects you with cold efficiency, checking your limbs and teeth as if you're livestock. Finally, she nods. Acceptable. Take her to the Kamuro quarters. New name. She pauses, thinking. Tatsuno, little dragon. Your old name dies in that moment. You're Tatsuno now. A maid leads you through corridors fragrant with cedar and beeswax to a small back room where futons lie in neat rows. 3 girls your age look up, their faces half curious, half wary. New Kamuro, the maid announces. She'll start tomorrow. She leaves you with a thin yukata and instructions to sleep. The other girls whisper among themselves, stealing glances. Is it true? One finally asks. Do they really eat our livers if we disobey? You gasp. What? Kidding, she says with a mischievous smile. I'm Kozue. That's Momiji and Sakura. We're all Kamuro for Takahime-sama. Who's that? Only the most beautiful Oiran in Yoshiwara, Kozue says with pride. We're her attendants. Now you are too. That night, you sleep on the softest futon you've ever felt, but dreams of your father's fish stall haunt you. You wake before dawn, momentarily confused by the unfamiliar ceiling. For a heartbeat, you expect to smell mackerel and hear your father's cough. Instead, a bell rings somewhere in the house. The other girls jump up immediately. Hurry, Kozue urges. We have to prepare Takahime-sama's morning bath. You follow them through dim corridors to a bathing chamber where steam rises from a wooden tub. The girls efficiently arrange towels, combs, oils and powders on lacquered trays. You'll fetch water, Momiji tells you, pointing to wooden buckets. For the next hour, you carry buckets from the well to the bathhouse, your arms aching. Just as you finish, a vision appears in the doorway, a woman of breathtaking beauty, her nightrobe loosely draped around her shoulders. This must be Takahime. The girls immediately bow, foreheads touching the tatami. You hastily copy them. Takahime barely acknowledges your existence as she disrobes and enters the bath. The other Kamuro attend to her, washing her back, pouring water over her shoulders, massaging her scalp with rice bran soap that smells of jasmine. Who is this? Takahime finally asks, noticing you hovering uncertainly. New Kamuro, Takahime-sama, Kozue answers. Her name is Tatsuno. Takahime examines you with cool detachment. She has potential. Teach her properly. After the bath comes the elaborate dressing ritual. You watch in awe as layers of silk kimono are wrapped around Takahime's slender form. First the white under kimono, then the brilliant red middle layer, and finally an outer kimono of deep blue with silver cranes soaring across the fabric. 3 maids work together to dress her. One arranges her hair in the towering Shimada style, another applies white lead makeup to her face and neck, while the third massages her hands and feet. An Oiran can't dress herself, Kozue whispers to you. The kimono are too heavy, the sleeves too long. That's why we're here. When finished, Takahime is transformed into something beyond human, a living artwork. The white makeup erases all flaws, her lips are stained crimson, and her hair glitters with gold ornaments that chime softly when she moves. Today, you'll learn to follow, Momiji tells you. Watch everything. Say nothing. For the rest of the day, you shadow the Kamuro as they attend to Takahime's every need. You carry her shamisen when she goes to music practice. You hold her sleeve when she walks so it doesn't touch the ground. You fan her when she rests. You learn that an Oiran never pours her own tea, never carries anything heavier than a fan, never opens a door herself. In the evening, Takahime receives visitors in a luxurious reception room. Wealthy merchants and samurai sit at respectful distances, drinking sake and listening to her play the shamisen. Her fingers move across the strings like dancing butterflies, producing sounds so beautiful they make your chest ache. "Do you see that man?" Kozue whispers, pointing to a middle-aged merchant in expensive silks. "He spent enough money on Takahime-sama to buy a rice field, and that one there, with the scar, he once brought her a cage of nightingales because she mentioned liking their song." The men compete for Takahime's attention, offering clever poems and expensive gifts. She smiles and flirts, but you notice how her eyes remain cool, calculating. This is performance, not passion. Later, in the quiet hours before dawn, you help remove Takahime's makeup and elaborate kimono. Beneath all the artifice, she looks younger, more vulnerable. As she settles onto her futon, she notices you staring. "What is it, little dragon?" she asks. "Are you happy, Takahime-sama?" The question slips out before you can stop it. She looks at you for a long moment, surprise flickering across her features. Then she laughs, not the delicate musical laugh from earlier, but something harder, more genuine. "Happiness is for peasants and poets," she says. "We deal in illusions here. Remember that." You bow and retreat, her words echoing in your mind. That night, lying on your futon, you realize you've entered a world where beauty masks suffering, where luxury is a prison, where nothing is as it appears. The other Kamuro sleeps soundly around you, but your mind races through everything you've seen. Outside, the night drum sounds, marking the hours. From a nearby tea house comes the melancholy sound of a shamisen. In your old life, you'd be awake soon to help your father prepare his stall, but that life is gone. Yoshiwara, the floating world, is your home now, and someday, if you learn well and grow beautiful, you might become an Oiran like Takahime. The thought both thrills and terrifies you. Unlike your worn tatami at home, this futon cradles your body like a cloud. The night air carries the sweet scent of cherry blossoms instead of fish. You should be grateful, you think. Many would envy your position. Yet as sleep finally claims you, you dream of the sea, of your father's weathered hands, of a life that was hard but honest. In Yoshiwara, nothing is honest. Not the painted faces, not the practiced smiles, not even the tears. And tomorrow, your training truly begins. 5 years pass in a blur of lessons and service. You're 13 now, no longer the scrawny fish seller's daughter. Your hands have softened, your speech refined. Today marks a pivotal moment, your promotion from Komuro to Shinzo, from child attendant to apprentice Oiran. The house mother summons you before dawn. She circles you like a hawk eyeing prey, inspecting your posture, your skin, your hair. Acceptable, she finally declares, which from her is high praise. You begin Shinzo training today. Takahime-sama requested you specifically. Your heart leaps. After years of washing Takahime's kimonos, fetching her tea and watching from the shadows, you've caught her attention. Do not disappoint her, the house mother adds, her voice sharp as a knife. Shinzo who fail become maids or worse. She doesn't need to explain worse. You've seen girls vanish to brothels in the outskirts of Edo, where men pay copper coins instead of gold. In the dressing room, attendants strip away your plain Komuro robe. The kosode they bring is nothing like you've worn before. Pale pink silk with cherry blossoms cascading down the sleeves. Arms out, orders the dresser, a no-nonsense woman with calloused hands. The weight of the fabric surprises you. They layer a second kosode underneath, then bind your chest with a long strip of silk. Too many ribs showing, the dresser mutters, tugging the binding tighter. Men don't pay for bones. Your body has begun changing, and you've noticed the older men noticing you. It makes your skin crawl, but in Yoshiwara, being noticed is currency. The dresser knots an elaborate obi around your waist, then steps back to assess her work. You'll do. Hair next. For an hour, you sit motionless as your hair is washed, oiled, combed and arranged in the wear-shinobu style of a young apprentice, swept up with a dramatic forward sweep. They secure it with 6 tortoiseshell pins that dig into your scalp. Beauty hurts, little dragon, says the hairdresser, noticing your wince. Get used to it. Next comes makeup, a layer of white lead paste over your face, neck and chest, leaving 2 sharp points at the nape. They paint your lips crimson, but only the center, the distinctive coming-of-age style that marks you as Shinzo. When they hold up a mirror, a stranger stares back. A girl balanced between childhood and womanhood, traditional and alluring. I look like a doll, finishes the dresser. That's the point. They strap wooden Koma gaiter sandals to your feet, elevated platforms that add 3 inches to your height. Walking in them feels like balancing on stilts, but falling isn't an option. Don't shuffle, the dresser scolds. Glide. Takahime awaits in her private quarters, already dressed in layers of midnight blue silk embroidered with silver cranes. Her hair towers above her head in the magnificent Hyogo style, adorned with golden kanzashi that catch the morning light. My little dragon, she says, gesturing for you to sit, finally old enough for real training. For 5 years you've attended her, holding her sleeves, fetching her shamisen, memorizing her clients' names and preferences. Now everything changes. You think you know what it means to be Oiran, she says, examining her lacquered nails. You don't. You bow deeply. I'm ready to learn, Takahime-sama. She laughs, that same genuine laugh you heard years ago, rarely displayed to clients. No, you're not. Nobody is. But we start anyway. Your days as Shinzo make your Komuro years seem easy. You wake before dawn for lessons in shamisen, an instrument that makes your fingers bleed until calluses form. You practice calligraphy until your wrist aches, memorize hundreds of poems, and learn the tea ceremony with its 1,000 precise movements. Again, your music teacher demands after 3 hours of the same passage. Your playing sounds like a cat being strangled. You bite back tears and try again, pressing the plectrum against the strings until your fingertips go numb. Wait, the teacher says, placing her hand over yours. Feel the music here first. She taps your chest, then let it flow to your fingers. You close your eyes, breathe deeply, and try once more. The notes flow smoother this time, though still far from perfect. Better, she says. Now do it 500 more times. Between lessons, you shadow Takahime, studying her every movement, how she laughs behind her sleeve at a client's joke, how she pours sake with her sleeve just brushing the table, how she glances down before delivering a witty retort. It's all performance, she tells you one night as you help remove her makeup. Every blink, every gesture, every word, nothing is accidental. Isn't that exhausting, you ask? Of course it is, but the alternative is worse. What alternative? Her eyes meet yours in the mirror, startlingly naked without the white makeup, being powerless. At night, you collapse onto your futon, body aching, mind spinning with poetry verses and shamisen notes. Your roommate, Kozue, also promoted to Shinzo, often cries herself to sleep. "I can't do it," she whispers one night. "My hands are too small for shamisen. My memory too poor for poetry. They'll send me away." You reach across the darkness and squeeze her hand. "I'll help you practice." And you do. Every night, when others sleep, you drill Kozue on poems, correct her shamisen finger positions, and teach her the tea ceremony steps you've mastered. One morning, the dance instructor strikes Kozue's leg with her fan. Sloppy again, Kozue trembles but holds position. You catch her eye and give an imperceptible nod. She takes a breath and executes the turn perfectly. Adequate, says the instructor, moving on. Kozue flashes you a grateful smile. Not all Shinzo are allies. Mizuki, apprenticed to a rival Oiran, watches you with jealous eyes. When you master a difficult shamisen piece before her, she accidentally spills ink on your new kimono. "So clumsy," she says with mock concern. "The house mother will be furious." Instead of retaliating, you study harder, determined to outshine her through skill, not sabotage. "She'll always hate you," Takahime observes after witnessing one of Mizuki's slights. "Some women can't stand seeing others rise. What should I do? Become so excellent she looks foolish trying to compete." 6 months into your training, Takahime allows you to observe her with clients for the first time, not in private rooms, but at banquets where powerful men gather to be entertained. You kneel in the corner, eyes downcast but missing nothing. Takahime sits at the center, pouring sake for a daimyo's son whose family controls rice shipments to Edo. Beside him, a merchant whose ships trade with the Dutch at Dejima. Both compete for her attention. "I've brought you something from China," says the merchant, producing a small lacquered box. Inside lies a jade hairpin carved with dragons. Exquisite, rare, and obviously expensive. Takahime's eyes show a flicker of genuine appreciation before she masks it with practiced modesty. "You honor me too greatly." The daimyo's son frowns. "I've composed a poem for you." He recites 17 syllables comparing Takahime to the moon reflected in water, beautiful but untouchable. It's elegant but lacks originality. "Your words touch my heart," Takahime says, exactly as if she means it. Later, you ask which gift pleased her more. "The hairpin can be sold if needed," she says practically. "Poetry pays no debts." But didn't his words mean something? "Words are the cheapest currency in Yoshiwara," she replies. "Even the poorest man can afford pretty phrases." One night you're summoned to serve tea at a gathering of high-ranking Oiran. They lounge in casual disarray, their public personas temporarily set aside. Without clients present, they smoke kizaru pipes, laugh loudly, and gossip mercilessly. Did you hear about Choyama's patron? Asks a sharp-faced Oiran named Misora. His wife finally caught him, cut off all financial support. How much does he owe the house? Asks another. 3 years' worth of visits, says Misora with a smirk. He's selling land to cover it. And they say, we're the ones who cause men to ruin themselves, laughs Takahime. Men do that perfectly well on their own. You pour tea silently, absorbing every word. These women, so demure and refined in public, transform in private. They discuss business, politics, and gossip with keen intelligence. They calculate debts and payments with merchant precision. They strategize how to extract maximum profit from their admirers. Your little Shinzo is listening too closely, Misora observes, eyeing you. Good, says Takahime. She should learn how the world really works. And you do learn. Each day adds new layers to your understanding of Yoshiwara's complex ecosystem. You discover that every smile, every favor, every moment of an Oiran's time has its price, and that price varies depending on her rank and popularity. You learn that some men visit merely to be seen visiting, their status elevated by association with certain Oiran. Others come seeking genuine connection, pathetically believing they're special despite paying for the privilege. The saddest ones believe they're in love, Takahime tells you. Those are the easiest to manipulate and the most dangerous when they realize the truth. Have you ever felt anything real for a client? You dare to ask. She considers this, tapping her pipe against a small ceramic bowl. Once. Years ago. What happened? He promised to buy my contract, to marry me. Her eyes grow distant. Then his family arranged a political marriage instead. He still visits occasionally. And you still see him. His money is as good as anyone's, she says, but you catch the bitterness underneath. As your second year as Shinzo begins, your body continues changing. The house mother notices your developing figure and nods approvingly. Start preparing her for Mizuage, she tells Takahime. She'll fetch a good price. The word sends ice through your veins. Mizuage, the ceremony that will end your apprenticeship and virginity, auctioned to the highest bidder. Every Shinzo faces it eventually. That night you find Takahime alone, writing a letter by lamplight. What's Mizuage really like? You ask, voice barely above a whisper. She sets down her brush and looks at you, really looks at you, perhaps for the first time. It's business, she says finally, like everything else here. Were you scared? Terrified. Her honesty surprises you, but it passes. Everything passes. She reaches for a small wooden box on her shelf and opens it, revealing a porcelain bottle. Sake helps, she says. So does this. She hands you the bottle. 2 drops in his drink. No more. It doesn't put him to sleep, just slows him down. Makes him less eager. You clutch the bottle, this unexpected kindness bringing tears to your eyes. Thank you. We take care of our own, she says simply. Now go practice your shamisen. Your third finger still falters on the bridge passage. Your training intensifies as your Mizuage approaches. Dance lessons become more rigorous, focusing on the subtle art of suggestion, a turned wrist, a lowered gaze, the flash of neck beneath white powder. Less obvious, barks the dance instructor, wrapping your arm with her fan. Seduction is suggestion, not invitation. Make them imagine, not expect. You learn to walk the fine line between promise and denial, between appearing available while remaining exclusive. You master the arts of conversation, knowing when to display knowledge and when to feign ignorance to flatter a client's ego. Men want beauty and brains, Takahime explains, but never so much brains that they feel inferior. You practice writing love letters, each word calculated to entice without committing. You study the art of the morning after letter, thanking a client for his visit while subtly encouraging his return. One afternoon, you're summoned unexpectedly to a private room where Takahime entertains a special client, a government official with connections to the shogun himself. He looks at you with appraising eyes. "This is the Shinzo you mentioned?" he asks Takahime. "Yes, Matsudaira-sama, my most promising apprentice." "Play something," he commands, gesturing to the shamisen in the corner. Your hands tremble as you kneel and position the instrument. You select a piece you've practiced 1,000 times, Moonlight on Snow, and lose yourself in the music. When you finish, he nods once. "Acceptable. I'll consider your offer, Takahime-san." After he leaves, you turn to Takahime in confusion. "What offer?" "I've suggested he bid for your Mizwaj," she says matter-of-factly. "He's wealthy, refined, and not cruel. You could do worse for your first time. You feel simultaneously grateful and betrayed. Don't I have any say? Did I have any say?" she counters. "Did any of us?" The question hangs between you, unanswerable. Your final lesson as Shinzo comes unexpectedly. You find Takahime alone in her room, staring at a letter, tears streaming down her unpainted face. "Takahime-sama?" You've never seen her cry before. She looks up, seemingly unaware of the tears. "My brother died. Cholera. I didn't know you had family. I try not to remember them." She folds the letter carefully. "It's easier that way. Should I leave you alone?" "No." She pats the tatami beside her. "Sit with me." You kneel beside her, uncertain what to do. She reaches for her kiseru pipe and lights it with shaking hands. "I was sold just like you," she says after a long silence. "My father was a silk merchant who made bad investments. I was 12. My brother was 10. She exhales smoke slowly. "He swore he'd buy my contract when he grew up." You sit in silence, absorbing this rare glimpse into her past. "The most important lesson of Yoshiwara," she says finally, "is that everyone here is playing a role. The Oiran, the clients, even the house mothers. We pretend to be what others need us to be, but never confuse the role with the person beneath. Who are you beneath? You dare to ask." She smiles sadly. "I've been playing this role so long, sometimes I forget myself." As you prepare to leave, she calls you by your real name, the one from before Yoshiwara, the one you thought everyone had forgotten. The sound of it stops your heart. "How did you know?" you whisper. "I make it my business to know everything about those in my care," she says. "Remember who you were. It will keep you sane in the years ahead." That night, as you lay on your futon, you whisper your birth name to yourself, a talisman against forgetting. Outside, rain patters against the roof. In a nearby room, someone plays a melancholy tune on the shamisen. Tomorrow, preparations for your debut procession begin. The official presentation that will mark your transition from Shinzo to full Oiran. Your Mizwaj will follow shortly after. You're not ready. You'll never be ready. But as Takahime said, you'll begin anyway. You close your eyes, remembering your father's fish stall, the smell of the sea, the simple life you once had. In your dreams, you're still that girl, feet firmly on the ground, not balanced on wooden stilts of Komagata sandals. But when dawn breaks, you'll rise as Tatsuno, Little Dragon, Shinzo of the Yorozu house, soon to debut as one of the most coveted prizes in Yoshiwara. The house mother wakes you before dawn on the day of your debut, not with the usual sharp command, but by kneeling beside your futon, a rare solemnity in her eyes. "Today you become Oiran," she says, her voice uncharacteristically gentle. Few girls who enter Yoshiwara reach this rank. You've been preparing for months. Your mizuage was sold at auction last week to Matsudaira-sama as Takahime had arranged. The bidding reached a sum that made even the house mother's eyes widen. Your virginity, it seems, is worth more than your father's fishing boat and house combined. Rise, the house mother says. Your attendants are waiting. In the bath chamber, 3 maids scrub every inch of your skin with rice bran until it stings. They wash your hair with egg and camellia oil, then apply fragrant unguents in places that make you blush. No part of you will remain untouched or unprepared. The water's cold, you complain, shivering. One maid snorts. Wait till you're walking in the procession, then you'll wish for cold. After bathing comes the most elaborate dressing of your life. Not 1 or 2 kimono, but 5 layers, each heavier than the last. The innermost is white silk against your skin. Then comes a vibrant red layer, visible only at the collar. The third is patterned with autumn leaves. The fourth shows cranes in flight. And finally, the outermost kimono, a masterpiece of indigo silk embroidered with silver dragons that catch the light as you move. The sleeves extend well past your fingertips. The hem pools around your feet. When fully dressed, you can barely move under the weight. How much does this cost, you ask, as they arrange the massive obi at your back? More than you'll earn in 5 years, says the dresser. The house owns it, not you. Remember that. Your hair takes 3 hours. The waxed structure rises like a black lacquer sculpture, adorned with 15 kanzashi, gold, silver, tortoiseshell and jade hairpins that chime softly with each minute movement. When you calculate their worth, you realize you're wearing a fortune on your head alone. The makeup comes next, the distinctive white mask of an Oiran. Lead paste covers your face, neck and chest with 2 sharp points at the nape of your neck. Your natural lips are covered completely, then redrawn smaller and blood red in the center of your face. Your eyebrows are hidden with wax, then repainted higher on your forehead. When they finally allow you to see a mirror, a stranger stares back, beautiful, untouchable, inhuman. Who is that? You whisper. That's Tatsuno the Oiran, says the dresser. The girl you were is gone. They save the most challenging part for last. Your footwear, Komagata sandals with blackened teeth nearly 10 inches high. Standing on them feels like balancing on stilts. Walking requires constant concentration. Take small steps, advises the dresser, and remember the figure 8. Outside, the procession assembles. First come the attendants carrying lanterns with your name. Behind them, 2 shinzo, apprentices like you were until today, wait nervously. Then comes your kamuro, 3 little girls in matching kimono, their faces solemn with concentration. And finally your spot, the position of honor at the rear. The house mother inspects everything with critical eyes. She adjusts a hairpin, straightens an repositions a sleeve. Remember, she tells you, this procession is an advertisement. Your beauty, grace, and value are on display. Walk slowly. Make them wait for each step. The harder you are to reach, the more they'll pay to attain you. Takahime appears, herself resplendent in ceremonial robes. For your debut, she'll walk the route ahead of you. A final honor from teacher to student. Nervous, she asks, seeing your pale face beneath the white makeup. Terrified, you admit. What if I fall? You won't. Her confidence steadies you. You've practiced 1,000 times. Not with all this weight. She leans closer, her voice dropping. Know why the sandals are so high? To make us taller? To make us impossible to kidnap. She smiles thinly. Can't exactly run away in these, can't be stolen either. The house makes sure of that. Before you can respond, drums begin to beat. The great gates of Yoshiwara open. Your procession steps into the afternoon sun. The main street of Yoshiwara, Nakanocho, stretches before you, lined with spectators, not just potential clients, but rival houses, other Oiran, even common townspeople who've come just to watch. You spot Mizuki, your old rival, her face tight with envy. The weight of all eyes makes your stomach clench. The first step onto the street feels like stepping into a void. Left foot first, whispers your attendant. Breathe. You remember your training. Each step is a performance. You slide your left foot forward, toes pointing outward, then swing it in a half circle before placing it down. Your right foot follows in a complementary arc. Together, they form a figure 8 on the ground, the distinctive Soto Hachimonji walk of a high-ranking Oiran. Each step takes 5 seconds. Your muscles burn with the effort of balance. Sweat trickles down your back beneath the heavy layers. The Komagata sandals force all your weight onto the balls of your feet, sending sharp pains up your calves. Halfway down Nakanocho, you hear a man's voice from the crowd. Is she worth the price? Another answers. For that face, I'd sell my warehouse. You keep your expression serene, as if you hear nothing. Inside, you marvel at their delusion. They see only the artwork, not the canvas beneath, not the girl who was sold for the price of a meal, who practiced shamisen until her fingers bled, who will soon give her body to a stranger because she has no choice. Near the end of the route, you spot a familiar face. Kozue, your former roommate, now working as an attendant in a tea house. She didn't pass the tests to become Oiran. When your eyes meet, she bows deeply, and you see both respect and relief in her posture. The procession takes an hour to cover a distance you could normally walk in 2 minutes. By the end, your feet are numb, your neck stiff from the weight of the hair ornaments, but you haven't stumbled once. Back at Yorozu House, attendants rush to help you out of the heavy kimono and towering hair. As the layers come off, you feel yourself emerging from a cocoon, not as a butterfly, but as something more complicated. Well done, says the house mother, which from her is like effusive praise. Rest now. Tonight is your mizwaj. Alone in your new private chamber, a privilege of your rank, you sit on the tatami, head pounding from the released pressure of the hairpins. Tomorrow, men will begin bidding for your time, but tonight belongs to Matsudaira-sama, who has already paid handsomely for the privilege of being first. Takahime visits as evening approaches. She dismisses your attendants with a wave, then kneels beside you. I've brought you something, she says, placing a small porcelain bottle between you. 2 drops in his sake, no more. The sleeping potion she promised. You lift it carefully. Will it hurt? You ask. The question of every virgin since time began. Some, she answers honestly. But Matsudaira is not a cruel man. And with this, she nods at the bottle, he'll be gentler, less urgent. What if he notices? He won't. Men notice very little when they think they're getting what they want. She reaches into her sleeve and produces a second gift, a small jade figurine of a dragon. For luck, she says, keep it hidden. It belongs to you, not the house. You close your fingers around it, feeling its cool weight. A treasure that's truly yours, perhaps the only one you'll ever have. I'm scared, you admit. Everyone is, but by tomorrow it will be over, and you'll be one of us, a full Oiran. She squeezes your hand once, then rises to leave. At the door, she pauses. Remember to breathe, she says, and remember that no matter what happens in that room, your mind remains your own. After she leaves, you sit in silence, turning the jade dragon in your palm. Outside, lanterns are being lit along Nakanocho. The evening clients will soon arrive, and somewhere among them Matsudaira-sama approaches. You tuck both gifts into your obi and summon your attendants. Time for another transformation. They dress you in a furisode kimono, the long-sleeved style of unmarried women. The rich red silk is embroidered with gold butterflies that seem to flutter when you move. Your hair is arranged in the Shimada style, sophisticated but less elaborate than your procession coiffure. The makeup is reapplied, fresh and perfect. As darkness falls, a maid announces Matsudaira's arrival. You're escorted to a private room at the back of the house, one you've never entered before. The space is intimate, just 8 tatami mats with a single painted scroll in the tokonoma alcove. A small table holds sake and delicacies. The futon lies discreetly folded in the corner. You kneel beside the table, arrange your sleeves, and wait. When the shoji slides open, Matsudaira enters. He's a man of perhaps 40, with the refined features of aristocracy and the confident posture of power. His dark silk kimono bears his family crest, 3 hollyhock leaves within a circle. Tatsuno, he says, using your Oiran name as he kneels opposite you. You honored me by accepting my bid, as if you had any choice, but you smile and bow, exactly as trained. The honor is mine, Matsudaira-sama. You pour sake for him, making sure your sleeve doesn't touch the table, a sign of refined training. When he's not looking, you add 2 drops from Takahime's bottle to his cup. The ritual begins. You serve food, exchange pleasantries, even play the shamisen when he requests it. He recites a poem comparing you to a dragon rising through mist. You respond with appropriate modesty. It's all performance, all calculated. Even his desire follows a script. The way his eyes linger on your neck, how he positions himself closer with each cup of sake. After the 3rd cup, his eyelids grow heavy, his movements less precise. Takahime's medicine works.
"Shall we retire?"
he finally suggests, gesturing to the futon. Your heart pounds, but your face reveals nothing. You rise gracefully and walk to the futon, kneeling to unfold it while he watches. Your attendants enter briefly to help undress you both. Another ritual, another performance. When they leave, you're in a thin silk robe. He in a simpler kimono. The room feels suddenly smaller. "Come," he says, patting the futon beside him. You obey, your body moving while your mind detaches, just as Takahime taught you. Afterward, you lie awake beside his sleeping form. Your body aches in unfamiliar places. There was pain, yes, but less than feared. The medicine made him clumsy, almost tender in his reduced state. You touch the jade dragon hidden beneath your pillow and think, I survived. I am Oiran now. But what does that really mean? In the morning, Matsudaira leaves with formal thanks and a generous gift, a gold hairpin worth a small fortune. You bow and thank him appropriately, promising to treasure it always. Within an hour, the house mother has added it to her inventory. It belongs to the house, not to you. Your debt has been reduced by the mizuage payment, she informs you, reviewing her ledger, but new expenses begin today. Your kimonos, your hair ornaments, your cosmetics, all must be of higher quality now, all add to your account. You stare at the columns of figures. The debt that began when you were purchased has never decreased, despite years of service. It only grows. How much to buy my freedom, you ask? The house mother looks up, surprised by your directness. After a calculating pause, she names a sum so enormous it makes your head spin. And if a patron wishes to buy my contract, triple that amount. She snaps the ledger shut. But don't waste time on such thoughts. Focus on your clients. The more you earn, the better your conditions. Your new status brings privileges, a private room, first choice of kimonos, 2 personal attendants, but it also brings responsibilities. You're expected to entertain more clients, perform at more banquets, maintain impeccable standards at all times. 3 days after your mizuage, you receive your first regular client, a wealthy silk merchant named Denzaemon. He's older than Matsudaira, less refined, but generous with gifts. "You're even more beautiful up close," he says, staring openly at your painted face. "I watched your procession. Magnificent. You smile and pour his sake. You honor me with your attention. I want to be your Dana," he announces abruptly, "your patron. You've been trained for this moment. A Dana pays monthly sums for exclusive privileges, first claim on your time, the right to sleep in your bed, status among his peers." "Such an arrangement requires deep consideration," you reply carefully, "and approval from the house. I've already spoken to your house mother. The terms are agreeable." Of course he has. No doubt the house mother encouraged him, seeing a reliable source of income. "Then I'm deeply honored," you say, lowering your eyes modestly. That night, he stays until dawn, talking more than touching, eager to establish his claim. When he finally leaves, you bathe for an hour, scrubbing his scent from your skin. In the following weeks, you settle into the rhythm of Oiran life. Days are for practice. Shamisen, calligraphy, poetry, dance. Evenings are for clients. You learn to gauge a man's wealth by his clothes, his generosity by his gifts, his character by how he treats the attendants. Some want only to be seen with you, parading through Yoshiwara to boost their status. Others seek confidants for business or political dilemmas. A few want the fantasy of romance, writing you passionate letters that you answer with calculated warmth. And yes, some simply want your body. Those nights you endure by retreating into your mind, thinking of the jade dragon hidden in your room, of the day you might buy your freedom. Denzaemon visits twice weekly, bringing expensive gifts and treating you with surprising respect. He speaks of one day purchasing your contract, though you've learned not to trust such promises. One evening he brings a beautiful kosode kimono, indigo silk with white herons. "For you alone," he says, "not for the house." You thank him effusively, but know the house mother will claim it by morning, and she does. "Everything you receive belongs to Yorozu House," she reminds you when you protest, "until your contract is paid. Even gifts intended for me personally, everything." Her tone brooks no argument. "Be grateful your debt decreases with each such gift." But checking the ledger, you notice your debt hasn't decreased at all. New charges appear constantly. Fees for your attendance, premiums for better rooms, costs for special cosmetics. The numbers blur before your eyes. Takahime finds you weeping silently in the garden one afternoon. Without a word, she sits beside you, offering her pipe. "I'll never be free," you say after a long silence. "The debt only grows." "Did you expect otherwise?" Her voice holds no cruelty, only pragmatism. "That's how the system works. It's not fair." "Fairness doesn't exist in Yoshiwara." She exhales smoke slowly. "But power does, and you're gaining it with each client who falls under your spell." "What good is power if I can't leave?" "Who said anything about leaving?" She gives you a sidelong glance. "There are worse prisons than silken robes and adoring patrons." You think of the fish stall, of poverty and hunger. Perhaps she's right. "Your real advantage," she continues, "is time. You're young, beautiful, and now established. Use these years wisely. Save what you can in secret. Choose your Dana carefully. Build connections. Like you have?" She laughs bitterly. "I made mistakes, trusted the wrong promises. Don't repeat them." That night, as you prepare to receive Denzamen, you study yourself in the mirror. The white face of an Oiran stares back, perfect, emotionless, a canvas for men's desires. Beneath it somewhere is the girl who smelled of mackerel and dreamed of simple things. You wonder if she still exists. A maid announces Denzamen's arrival, and you arrange your features into a welcoming smile. The performance begins again. Later, lying beside his sleeping form, you mentally count your hidden treasures. The jade dragon from Takahime, a gold Rio coin slipped from a drunken patron's sleeve, a Tanzaku poem card written by your own hand, your true thoughts, not the practiced phrases you speak aloud, small freedoms, secret rebellions. Perhaps this is how you'll survive. Outside, the night drum sounds. From a nearby tea house comes the melancholy sound of a shamisen. In your dreams, you walk on 10-inch gaiter sandals across an endless bridge, never reaching the other side. But when dawn breaks, you'll rise as Tatsuno, Oiran of Yorozu House, and the performance will begin anew. 5 years pass in a blur of silk and ceremony. You're 21 now, at the peak of your powers as Tatsuno, one of Yoshiwara's most sought-after Oiran. Your name appears in ukiyo-e prints sold throughout Edo. Poets compose verses about your beauty. Wealthy merchants compete for an hour of your company. Dawn breaks over Yoshiwara. While ordinary people begin their workday, your first task is transformation. 3 attendants enter your private chambers, carrying lacquered trays loaded with combs, oils, and cosmetics. The Nakamura brothers have requested you for a noon banquet, says Yuki, your head attendant, as she unfolds a selection of kimono, and Denzaemon-sama will visit tonight. You nod, mentally preparing for the day ahead. Denzaemon has remained your Dana these 5 years, a record of constancy that's become the envy of other Oiran. He's proven generous and relatively undemanding, content mostly with the status of being your patron. The blue one, you decide, pointing to a kimono patterned with silver waves. With the pearl kanzashi. The morning ritual begins. First, a bath scented with cherry blossoms. Then, your hair, washed yesterday and now arranged in the elaborate ginkgo leaf style favoured by top-ranking Oiran. The process takes 2 hours. You close your eyes, drifting between sleep and wakefulness as skilled hands transform you. Sit straighter, Yuki murmurs. Your neck will show lines if you slouch. Lines, the first enemy of an Oiran. You've seen how quickly women fall from favour once their skin loses its smoothness, how the most celebrated Oiran of last year now struggles to attract clients, all because of a small scar from a burning coal that landed on her cheek. Beauty is currency in Yoshiwara, and currency can be devalued overnight. Next comes the white lead makeup, applied in careful layers to your face, neck, and chest. You've learned to ignore the knowledge that it's slowly poisoning you. Many older Oiran suffer tremors in their hands, their payment for years of painted beauty. Tatsuno-sama, says a young attendant barely 12, does the makeup hurt? You glance at her innocent face, remembering your own early days. No, you lie. You get used to it. She nods solemnly, watching as Yuki outlines your lips in crimson, carefully creating the small, perfect mouth that men find so alluring, so different from your natural fullness. As they dress you in layers of silk, binding your body into the perfect Oiran silhouette, you stare at the ceiling and recite poetry in your mind. This detachment, this ability to exist outside your body, has become your greatest skill. By mid-morning, the transformation is complete. You no longer feel the weight of the kimono or the pinch of the hairpins. After years of practice, discomfort has become your natural state. Beautiful, whispers the young attendant. You smile at her reflection in the mirror. It's all artifice, you say. Remember that. The Nakamura brothers, wealthy rice merchants who control half the granaries in Edo, have rented Yorozu House's finest banquet room for their gathering. When you enter, conversation stops. 6 men kneel around a low table laden with delicacies, their eyes following your every movement. "Gentlemen," you say, your voice pitched to the perfect register, clear but soft, confident but demure. "You honor Yorozu House with your presence." You kneel gracefully, your attendants arranging your kimono sleeves in elegant folds. The room smells of sake, cedar, and male anticipation. "Tatsuno-sama," says the elder Nakamura, a bull of a man whose crude manners betray his rural origins. "We've been arguing about which poet best captured the essence of cherry blossoms. Perhaps you can settle our debate?" It's a test. They want to gauge your education, your wit. These nouveau riche merchants crave not just beauty, but refinement, the cultural capital their money can't directly buy. You smile slightly. Perhaps Saikaku said it best. Cherry blossoms at their peak are like the faces of the courtesans, most beautiful just before they fall. A ripple of appreciation runs through the room. You've chosen perfectly, a poet known for his observations of the floating world, a metaphor that acknowledges your profession without being crude. "Well played," says the younger Nakamura, "but I prefer Basho, Cloud of Cherry Blossoms, the temple bell. Is it Ueno? Is it Asakusa?" "A fine choice," you concede, though in present company I might suggest Issa. In this world, we walk on the roof of hell, gazing at flowers. The men laugh nervously. Your wit walks the edge of propriety, exactly where you've learned to balance. For the next 3 hours, you pour sake, play shamisen, and dance the slow, seductive steps of an Oiran's repertoire. You listen to business complaints and political gossip, storing away useful information. Knowledge is power in Yoshiwara, especially knowledge of men's secrets. By the time the banquet concludes, the Nakamuras have spent enough to feed a village for a month. They leave in high spirits, having purchased the illusion of sophistication along with your company. "The younger brother is sweet on you," Yuki observes as she helps you change for your evening appointment. "He barely took his eyes off your face." "His brother controls the purse strings," you reply practically, and prefers Azuma at the Wakamatsu house. You notice everything. I'd be dead otherwise. You've learned to watch for small details, which men are rising in Edo's merchant hierarchy, which are overextending themselves, which might be persuaded to help buy your freedom someday. You maintain a mental catalogue of connections and rivalries, debts and alliances. Between appointments, you retreat to your private garden, a luxury afforded only to the highest-ranking Oiran. Beneath a maple tree, hidden from prying eyes, you keep a small wooden box buried among the roots. Inside, your jade dragon, gold coins skimmed from drunken clients, a letter from Takahime, who now lives in Osaka, purchased by a wealthy tea merchant. You add a silver hairpin pilfered from the Nakamura banquet. Your secret hoard grows slowly but steadily, your only real possession in a world where everything else belongs to the house. Evening brings Denzaemon, now in his 50s but still vigorous. He's grown wealthier over the years, his silk business thriving on trade connections made through Yoshiwara's network. "My dragon," he greets you, using his personal nickname for you. "More beautiful each time I see you." You bow, the perfect picture of devoted courtesan. Denzaemon-sama, the days between your visits grow longer each time. Business demands much of me. He settles onto the cushions, accepting the sake cup you offer, but I've brought something to apologize for my absence. From his sleeve, he produces a small package wrapped in mulberry paper. Inside lies an exquisite ivory netsuke carved into the shape of a dragon, a miniature match to your hidden jade talisman. It reminded me of you, he says, watching your face for pleasure. You react exactly as expected, eyes widening, hands clasping in delight. It's magnificent. I shall treasure it always. Both of you know the house mother will claim it by morning. The game has rules, and you both play your parts. After sake and conversation, after the physical duties of an Oiran, Denzamen lies beside you on the futon, smoking his pipe in comfortable silence. These quiet moments have become familiar over the years, not quite intimacy, but something adjacent to it. I'm considering retirement, he says suddenly. My son is ready to take over the business. Your heart quickens. Changes in a Dana's circumstances often spell trouble for an Oiran. Will you return to your home province? You ask carefully. Perhaps. He taps his pipe against a ceramic bowl. Or perhaps I'll finally make good on my promise. Promise? To purchase your contract. He turns to study your face. Would that please you? You've heard such promises before, from him and others. They rarely materialize. Men speak of freedom in the afterglow of pleasure, then reconsider in the cold light of day. It would be a greater honor than I deserve, you say, the practiced response. You don't believe me. He sounds more amused than offended. I believe your intention is genuine. He laughs softly, diplomatic as always, but this time I've already spoken with the house mother. We're negotiating terms. A spark of hope ignites in your chest, but you smother it quickly. Hope is dangerous in Yoshiwara. And if you purchased my contract, you ask carefully, what would become of me? It's the vital question. Some men buy Oiran's contracts only to keep them as private concubines, a different kind of cage. You would be free to choose, he says, surprising you. I've grown fond of you, Tatsuno, perhaps fonder than is wise for a man my age, but I've had my time with you. 5 years is enough to know you deserve better than this place. You search his face for deception and find none. Could it be true? After all these years, could freedom be within reach? Why now, you ask? I'm not young anymore. Before I die, I'd like to know I've done one truly good thing. He smiles wryly, even if it's ruinously expensive. You bow your head, genuinely moved. Thank you, Denzamen-sama. Don't thank me yet. The house mother drives a hard bargain. Later, after he leaves, you sit in the garden beneath the stars, turning the ivory netsuke in your hands. Freedom. The word feels foreign on your tongue after so many years. But what would freedom mean? You have no family to return to, no skills beyond those of an Oiran. Where would you go? How would you live? A soft footfall interrupts your thoughts. You turn to see Mizuki, once your rival, now an Oiran herself, though never as celebrated as you. Plotting your escape? She asks, settling beside you uninvited. You quickly tuck the netsuke into your sleeve. Enjoying the night air. Or rumor says Denzamen plans to buy your contract. Her tone is light, but her eyes are sharp. Lucky Tatsuno, always the favorite. Rumors are rarely accurate in Yoshiwara. This one comes from the house mother herself. Mizuki plucks a leaf from a nearby bush, shredding it between her fingers. She's furious. Losing you would cost her enormously. You keep your face neutral, though your pulse quickens. The house mother always acts in her own interest. Indeed, which is why I thought you should know. She's adding new charges to your account. Special fees for your garden, premium rates for your attendance. She's doubling your debt to make your purchase price impossible. The spark of hope withers. Why tell me this? Mizuki shrugs. Perhaps I enjoy seeing the mighty Tatsuno brought low. Or perhaps she leans closer. Perhaps I'm tired of watching women trapped in this place. You study her face, searching for the malice that characterized your early interactions. Instead, you find something unexpected. Solidarity. Can you prove this? You ask. Her ledger is in her private chamber, the one with the red lacquer lock. Mizuki stands. I've said too much already. After she leaves, you sit motionless, mind racing. If what she says is true, your freedom will forever remain just out of reach. The house mother can simply keep adding to your debt faster than anyone can pay it off, unless a dangerous plan forms in your mind. The house mother's chamber is forbidden to everyone except her personal attendant. The punishment for entering without permission is severe, perhaps even fatal. But your Tatsuno, celebrated Oiran of Yorozu House, you've survived worse odds. The following morning, you send your attendants on various errands, claiming the need for solitude to compose poetry. Then you change into a simple maid's kimono, kept for the rare occasions when you visit the outer districts in disguise. The house mother's chambers occupy the best location in Yorozu House, a corner room overlooking both the main street and the private garden. At this hour, she's meeting with suppliers in the reception hall. You slip down the corridor, heart pounding. The door slides open silently beneath your touch. Inside, you find a space of surprising austerity. Few decorations, plain tatami, a single calligraphy scroll. The only luxury is a massive tansu chest against the wall, its red lacquer gleaming. The lock is simple but sturdy. You remove a hairpin from your sleeve, not an ornamental kanzashi, but a plain steel pin used by common women. Takahime taught you this skill years ago, though you've never had cause to use it until now. After several tense minutes, the lock clicks open. Inside the chest, you find neat stacks of ledgers, one for each Oiran in the house. Yours is embossed with gold. The columns of figures confirm your worst fears. Your debt has indeed doubled in recent weeks. Mysterious charges for special services and premium accommodations that you never requested. At the current rate, you'd need 15 more years to pay it off. By then, your beauty would be faded, your health likely ruined by the lead makeup and hard living. You hear footsteps in the corridor and freeze. Quickly, you memorize the most damning figures, then replace the ledger and close the chest. You're halfway to the door when it slides open. The house mother stands in the entrance, her face a mask of cold fury. "Tatsuno," she says, voice deadly quiet. "What are you doing in my private chamber?" Your mind races. Denial would be useless. Instead, you drop to your knees, pressing your forehead to the tatami. "Forgive me, mother. I came to beg for your wisdom." In a maid's kimono, without permission, her skepticism is palpable. "I didn't wish to be seen. The matter is delicate." She steps inside, closing the door behind her. "Explain." You raise your head just enough to meet her eyes. "Denzaemon-sama has spoken of purchasing my contract. And I fear leaving Yorozu House. This is my home, the only place I know. What would become of me outside these walls?" The lie falls smoothly from your lips, playing on her belief that keeping you indebted serves your own interests as much as hers. "You're right to worry," she says, relaxing slightly. "Few Oiran prosper after leaving Yoshiwara. Most end up as common prostitutes in the unlicensed districts." Exactly my fear. And yet I cannot refuse him directly without offence. Understanding dawns in her eyes. "You wish me to set a price so high he will withdraw his offer?" "If you would be so kind, for my own protection." She studies you for a long moment, weighing your sincerity. Finally, she nods. "Very well, I shall increase your debt valuation to reflect your true worth to this house. For your own good, of course. Thank you, mother. Your wisdom exceeds mine in all things." You back out of the room, bowing repeatedly until the door closes. Only then do you allow yourself a small, bitter smile. She believed you, or at least believed in your helplessness, but you've confirmed what you needed to know. That evening, Denzaman visits as promised. As you pour his sake, you notice his troubled expression. The house mother has named her price, he says, without preamble. It's substantial. How substantial, you ask, though you already know. He names a figure that would bankrupt a minor daimyo. Your worst fears confirmed. That's impossible, you say softly, even for you. I could manage perhaps half that sum with time to liquidate certain assets, but this, he shakes his head. It's as if she doesn't want to sell at all. She doesn't. You make a decision. Denzaman-sama, there's something you should know. Over the next hour, you explain what you've discovered, the artificially inflated debt, the impossible terms, the system designed to keep Oiran trapped forever. It's theft, he says, genuinely outraged. Fraud. It's Yoshiwara, you reply simply. The rules are different here. There must be a way. I've given my word to free you. You think of your secret box in the garden, of Takahime's lessons in survival, of everything you've learned about power in Yoshiwara. Perhaps there is, you say slowly, but it would require unorthodox methods. He leans forward, intrigued. I'm listening. Outside your window, rain begins to fall, drumming softly on the wooden roof. In the distance, the night watchman strikes his wooden clappers, warning visitors that the hour grows late. You look at Denzaman, this man who has been your patron, your client, perhaps the closest thing to a friend you have in this floating world. You're about to ask him to risk much on your behalf, but freedom is worth the risk. It has to be. Here's what we must do, you begin, voice barely above a whisper. The rain falls harder, masking your words from any who might listen at the door. In this moment of conspiracy, you feel something you haven't felt in years, genuine hope, dangerous and bright as a flame in darkness. 3 years pass, seasons change, cherry blossoms bloom and fall again and again. You're 24 now, no longer young by Yoshiwara standards. When you glance in the mirror during your morning preparations, you catch glimpses of time's passage, a fine line near your mouth, a strand of silver among the black, small betrayals of your body against the illusion of eternal youth. Hold still, Yuki murmurs as she applies your white makeup, carefully filling the new crease beside your eye. You moved again. Sorry. You close your eyes, feeling the familiar weight of lead paste on your skin. After all these years, you've begun to taste it. A metallic tang at the back of your throat, a harbinger of the slow poisoning every Oiran endures for beauty. Some mornings, your hands tremble slightly. Nothing obvious yet, nothing clients would notice, but you notice. The early stages of lead sickness, the price paid for years of painted perfection. There's a new girl at the Ogiya house, Yuki says casually, adding a touch of red to your lips. They say she's 16, from Kyoto, plays the koto better than anyone in Yoshiwara. You recognize the warning in her words. New beauties arrive constantly, each one trained to outshine the established Oiran. Youth is their advantage. Fresh faces, unblemished skin, the novelty that wealthy clients crave. I heard, you reply calmly. Ume, isn't it, with the mole beside her eye? Always stay informed, always know your competition. The lessons of survival never change. They're calling her the Nightingale of Yoshiwara, Yuki continues. 3 daimyo's sons visited her debut, unusual for someone so new. You remember your own debut, 8 years ago, the heavy kimono, the towering Komagata sandals, the painful figure-8 walk. You were the sensation then, the girl everyone wanted. Now you're established, respected. but no longer the brightest star in Yoshiwara's crowded sky. We should send her a welcome gift, you say. The coral kanzashi would be appropriate. Yuki raises an eyebrow. That's one of your favorites. Precisely. Let her know I notice her arrival, but am secure enough to be generous. You've learned these subtle power games well. Include a poem. Something about nightingales and their brief singing season. A gentle reminder that beauty fades, that today's sensation becomes tomorrow's memory. Your attendant nods appreciatively. Clever as always, Tatsuno-sama. As she arranges your hair in the elaborate style of a senior Oiran, you notice her own hands. Young, smooth, unblemished. Yuki is 19, old enough to have become Oiran herself if she'd had the beauty or talent. Instead, she serves as your trusted right hand. You've taught her well, shared your secrets and knowledge. Is it true, she asks, securing a golden hairpin shaped like a butterfly, that Denzaemon-sama hasn't visited in 3 weeks? The question carries weight. A Dana who stops visiting often signals the end of his patronage, and an Oiran without a steady patron becomes vulnerable. He's travelling to Osaka on business, you reply smoothly. He sent a letter and gifts just yesterday. The lie comes easily. In truth, Denzaemon hasn't visited because he's been carefully, quietly liquidating assets, selling warehouses, calling in old debts, converting property to cash, all part of the plan you devised that rainy night 3 years ago. A slow, cautious plan that requires absolute secrecy. The house mother would destroy you both if she suspected. Your appointments have thinned slightly in recent months, where once you entertained nightly, now you sometimes find yourself with empty evenings. Not dramatic enough to cause alarm, but noticeable. The house mother has begun steering the most wealthy new clients toward younger Oiran. Tonight, however, you're engaged to entertain at an important banquet, a gathering of government officials and wealthy merchants at the Kikuya Tea House. You'll share the event with 3 other Oiran, including the new girl, Ume. As you walk through Yoshiwara's main street toward the tea house, attendants holding paper lanterns before you, you notice the subtle shift in attention from passers-by. Their gazes linger first on Ume, resplendent in crimson silk, her young face a perfect oval of white, before sliding to you in delayed recognition. Tatsuno-sama, a longtime admirer, bows deeply from the crowd. Still the most beautiful in Yoshiwara. You acknowledge him with a slight nod, your face betraying nothing of your thoughts. He's lying, of course. The crown has passed, but he's kind to pretend otherwise. Inside the tea house, you take your place among the Oiran, kneeling gracefully despite the weight of your kimono and hair ornaments. You've chosen an understated elegance tonight, indigo silk embroidered with silver waves, your hair adorned with pearls rather than flashy gold. Let Uma shine with gaudy brightness. You'll glow with subtle sophistication. The clients enter. 5 government officials and 3 merchants, all men of influence in Edo. You recognize most of them from previous engagements. They settle around the low table, their eyes appraising the assembled beauties like buyers at a horse market. Tatsuno-sama, says Councillor Mizuno, a long-time admirer who has never quite been able to afford your company exclusively. A pleasure to see you again. The pleasure is mine, Mizuno-sama, you reply, your voice the perfect blend of deference and dignity. You honor us with your presence. The formal exchanges continue, each Oiran greeting each client with appropriate respect. You notice how Ume's voice trembles slightly, a genuine nervousness that the men find charming. Youth has that advantage. Its authentic emotions seem fresh, while yours must be manufactured through skill. As sake cups are filled and music begins, the oldest official, a white-haired man named Tanuma, leans toward you. They say the new girl plays koto like a celestial maiden, he says, nodding toward Uma. Perhaps we should request a demonstration. You smile, masking the sting. Once, they ask to hear you play. An excellent suggestion. Uma-san's talent is remarkable for one so young. Servants bring forth a koto, placing it before Ume, who effects an appropriate show of modest reluctance before acquiescing. Her fingers move across the strings with undeniable skill, producing music both technical and soulful. When she finishes, the room erupts in appreciative murmurs. You clap politely, acknowledging genuine talent when you see it. Now we must hear Tatsuno-sama, suggests Mizuno loyally. Her shamisen playing remains unmatched in Yoshiwara. You accept the instrument offered by a servant, settling it across your lap with practiced ease. Your fingers find the familiar positions and you begin to play, not a technical showpiece like Ume's, but a song of deep emotion, filled with the weight of experience that only years can provide. The room grows quiet. Even Ume watches with genuine interest. When you finish, the applause feels different, less excited perhaps, but more respectful. You've reminded them that youth has brilliance, but experience has depth. Tanuma raises his sake cup to you, like fine wine, he says, improving with age. The compliment carries a sting beneath its surface, acknowledging both your skill and your years. You accept it with a gracious nod. The evening proceeds in the usual pattern: music, dance, poetry, and carefully orchestrated flirtation. You maintain your dignity throughout, playing the role of senior Oiran with perfect poise, but you notice how the younger men's eyes follow Uma, how they compete for her attention. During a moment of general conversation, she leans toward you, voice low. Tatsuno-sama, your playing was beautiful. I hope someday to achieve such depth. The compliment seems genuine, lacking the barbed undertone you'd expect from a rival. Perhaps she's truly respectful, or perhaps she's clever enough to recognize that open competition would be unwise. You play with remarkable skill already, you reply. The technical aspects of music come easier in youth. The emotional expression develops with time. Will you teach me someday? She asks, eyes wide with what appears to be genuine admiration. Before you can answer, one of the merchants calls for Ume's attention and she's drawn away. You watch her go, reminded suddenly of yourself at 16, talented, beautiful, naive to the harsher realities of Yoshiwara. After the banquet, as you walk back to Yorozu House through the lantern-lit streets, your attendant Yuki sighs. The new girl has no subtlety, she says loyally. All technique, no soul. You smile at her defense. She's young. Subtlety comes with time. If she lasts that long. I hear her constitution is delicate, coughs in the morning. Yoshiwara gossip, always specific, often cruel. You've been its subject too many times to take pleasure in others' vulnerabilities. We all have our struggles, you say simply. Back in your private chamber, as Yuki helps remove your elaborate hairpins and makeup, a young maid enters with a letter. The paper is plain, unmarked, not the decorated stationery used by typical clients. It was left at the gate, the maid says, bowing. Specifically for Tatsuno-sama. You wait until you're alone to open it. Inside, a single line of calligraphy in a familiar hand. The crane prepares to fly 3 days hence. Denzaemon's signal. After 3 years of careful preparation, your plan approaches its culmination. Your heart beats faster despite your effort to remain calm. That night, sleep eludes you. You lie on your futon, staring at the ceiling, mind racing through contingencies and possibilities. Freedom. The word still feels foreign after 16 years in Yoshiwara. What will it mean? Who will you become outside these walls? The next morning brings an unexpected visitor, the house mother herself, who rarely enters Oiran's private chambers. "Tatsuno," she says, kneeling across from you with formal stiffness. "I've come with concerns." You maintain a neutral expression, though your stomach tightens. "How may I address them, mother? Your popularity shows signs of waning." She states this clinically, as if diagnosing an illness. The number of requests has decreased by 20% this past month. Spring brings new faces to Yoshiwara, you acknowledge. It's natural for clients to explore novelty. Perhaps, but your value to this house must be maintained. Her eyes narrow slightly. "I've invested considerably in your training and promotion. The unspoken threat hangs between you. An Oiran who can't attract clients becomes a financial liability. Such women often find themselves sold to lesser houses in the provinces, where conditions are far harsher." "I understand," you say carefully. "What would you suggest?" "Reduce your minimum fee. Accept more clients for shorter visits. Consider special services for preferred customers. In other words, sacrifice your hard-earned status and dignity to compete with younger women on their terms. Become what you've avoided all these years, merely a body for sale, rather than an accomplished artist who also provides physical companionship." "I'll consider your wisdom," you reply, bowing to hide the flash of anger in your eyes. She stands, apparently satisfied. "Do so quickly. Oh, and one more thing." She pauses at the door. "I've heard nothing from Denzemon-sama recently. Has he abandoned his patronage?" The question carries deadly weight. Without a dana, you're truly vulnerable. "He travels on business," you say, smoothly. "His letters arrive regularly." "Good." Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. "We wouldn't want to add the cost of finding a new patron to your already substantial debt." After she leaves, you sit motionless, thoughts churning. She suspects something, perhaps not your specific plan, but something. The timing feels dangerous. That evening, you send Yuki to the market with a sealed message to be delivered to a specific tea merchant, your roundabout way of contacting Denzemon without arousing suspicion. 2 tense days pass. You continue your routine, entertaining clients, practicing shamisen, maintaining the perfect illusion of the contented Oiran, but inside, anxiety gnaws at you. What if the house mother has intercepted your message? What if Denzemon has been prevented from completing his preparations? On the 3rd day, as promised, a palanquin arrives at Yorozu House, not the ornate, ostentatious kind used by wealthy merchants, but the plain, practical sort used by government officials. From it emerges a stern-faced man in the formal clothes of a magistrate's clerk, accompanied by 2 assistants carrying document boxes. "I seek the proprietress of this establishment," he announces to the startled gate attendant, "on official business from the city magistrate's office." Word spreads through Yoshiwara faster than fire. A magistrate's representative at Yorozu House. The implications send ripples of speculation through every tea house and brothel. Official visits usually mean trouble, unpaid taxes, licensing violations, or worse. From your window you watch as the house mother hurries to meet the official, her usually composed face tight with worry. They disappear into her private receiving room. An hour passes, then another. Yoshiwara runs on gossip, but for once, no one seems to know what's happening. The house falls into an uneasy silence, everyone moving quietly, speaking in whispers. Finally, as evening approaches, Yuki rushes to your chamber, her face flushed with excitement. Tatsuno-sama, she whispers urgently. The house mother summons you. The official is reviewing your contract. You take a deep breath, centering yourself. This is the moment you've planned for 3 years. Everything depends on what happens next. In the formal receiving room, you find the house mother kneeling rigidly across from the magistrate's clerk. Her face is a mask of controlled fury. Beside the clerk, document boxes lie open, revealing stacks of official papers bearing government seals. Ah, Tatsuno-san, the clerk says formally. Please join us. You kneel gracefully, face betraying nothing of your inner turmoil. This official, the house mother says, her voice tight, claims to be conducting an audit of contracts in all licensed pleasure houses by order of the city magistrate. Indeed, says the clerk, adjusting his spectacles. Recent complaints have reached the magistrate's office regarding certain irregularities in accounting practices within Yoshiwara. You maintain a perfect expression of polite confusion. How may I assist with this matter? Your contract has been specifically identified for review, he explains, as part of a random sampling of cases. Random, of course, the culmination of 3 years of careful planning, of denzaemon calling in political favours accumulated over decades of silk trading, of bribes paid and officials persuaded, all to create this moment of random selection. The house mother's eyes bore into you, suspicion darkening her features. She knows. Not everything, perhaps, but enough to sense your involvement. According to these records, the clerk continues, consulting a ledger, your initial purchase price was 50 ryo, correct? Yes. Honourable sir, you confirm, keeping your voice steady. And your current debt to Yorozu House is listed as... He adjusts his spectacles. 7,300 ryo. The house mother interjects smoothly. Oiran of Tatsuno's caliber require substantial investment. Her training, kimono, hair ornaments... Yes, the clerk interrupts. However, our office has conducted a thorough review of standard costs and reasonable profit margins for licensed establishments. He produces another document, this one bearing the magistrate's seal. According to our calculations, accounting for all legitimate expenses plus a generous profit margin, your maximum lawful debt should not exceed 1,600 ryo. The house mother's face pales beneath her makeup. That's absurd. The costs of maintaining a high-ranking Oiran are well documented, the clerk finishes firmly, as are the legal limits on interest and service fees that may be charged. He turns to you. Tatsuno-san, are you aware that someone has offered to purchase your contract? Your heart pounds so loudly you fear they might hear it. No, honourable sir, a merchant named Denzaemon has petitioned the magistrate's office directly, offering to pay your lawful debt in full. Given the discrepancies identified in your account, the magistrate has approved this petition. The house mother's hands clench into fists against her kimono. This is unprecedented interference in private business matters. Yoshiwara has always operated under its own regulations, which exist at the pleasure of the shogunate, the clerk reminds her coldly. The magistrate has determined that certain practices have exceeded reasonable bounds. This case will serve as an example of proper accounting going forward. He turns to you again. The sum of 1,600 ryo has been paid to Yorozu House on your behalf. Your contract is hereby transferred to Denzaemon-san, who has, in turn, registered your manumission papers with the city office. Manumission, freedom. The word echoes in your mind like a temple bell. You are no longer bound to Yoshiwara, the clerk continues. You may leave whenever you wish. The house mother's face contorts with rage barely contained. This is theft. 16 years of investment is more than compensated by the settlement, the clerk states firmly. The magistrate's decision is final. As the implications settle over the room, you maintain your composure through sheer force of will. To break now, to show emotion, would be dangerous. The house mother's fury could still find outlets for revenge. I am grateful for the magistrate's wisdom, you say formally, and for the care I have received at Yorozu House these many years. The clerk nods approvingly at your diplomacy. You may gather your personal belongings. A palanquin waits to transport you wherever you wish to go. The house mother rises abruptly. I must review these documents with my legal advisor. Excuse me. After she storms out, the clerk allows himself a small smile. Your patron has influential friends, he says quietly. This audit required many signatures. You bow deeply. Please convey my deepest gratitude to all concerned. He awaits you at his residence in Nihonbashi, unless you prefer another destination. The question startles you. In all your planning, you hadn't considered that freedom would require immediate decisions. Where would you go, if not to Denzaemon's home? You have no family, no other connections outside Yoshiwara. His residence will be suitable, you reply, for now. As you return to your chamber to collect your few true possessions, the jade dragon, your secret savings, Takahime's letters, reality begins to sink in. 16 years in Yoshiwara, and now, suddenly, freedom. Yuki helps you pack, her eyes wide with wonder and a touch of envy. Will you be all right? You ask her. The house mother will be looking for someone to blame. I'll manage, she says firmly. I've learned from the best. You press a gold ryo into her palm, part of your secret hoard. Find me in Nihonbashi if you ever need help. Outside, dusk has fallen. Lanterns glow along Nakanocho, casting familiar shadows on the street where you've walked thousands of times. A plain palanquin waits at the gate, its bearers standing respectfully aside. You take one last look at Yorozu House, the place that has been your prison and your home since childhood. Through its windows you see shadows moving, life continuing. Yoshiwara will go on without you, just as it has gone on for centuries. As you step into the palanquin, you catch a glimpse of a face watching from an upper window. Uma, the new Oiran, her perfect young features unreadable in the fading light. For a moment your eyes meet across the distance. Then she bows, a gesture of respect from one survivor to another. The bearers lift the palanquin. The gates of Yoshiwara open, and for the first time since you were 8 years old, you leave the floating world behind. Freedom tastes strange on your tongue, like a fruit you've heard described but never eaten, both sweeter and more bitter than expected. Denzaemon's home in Nihonbashi stands 3 stories tall, with a shop selling fine silks on the ground floor and living quarters above. When you arrive that first night, servants bow respectfully, calling you mistress, a title that makes you flinch slightly. You've been many things, but never that. These are your rooms, Denzaemon says, sliding open the door to a spacious chamber overlooking a small private garden. I hope they're suitable. The space is elegant but simple. Tatami floors, plain Fusuma screens, a writing desk beside the window. No gilded screens or ornate decorations like those that filled Yoshiwara. Just clean, open space. It's perfect, you say, meaning it. After 16 years of artifice, simplicity feels like luxury. That first night, you can't sleep. The silence unnerves you. No shamisen playing in distant rooms, no clients' voices echoing down corridors, no attendants whispering as they pass your door. Just stillness broken only by the gentle rustle of leaves in the garden. You rise before dawn, habit pulling you from the futon. For a disorienting moment, you wait for Yuki to arrive with your morning tea, for the elaborate dressing ritual to begin. Then reality settles around you like a new kimono, still unfamiliar, but yours. No white makeup today, no towering hairstyle, no heavy kimono layers. Instead, you dress yourself in a simple cotton yukata, marveling at how light it feels, how easily your arms move without trailing sleeves. In a small mirror, you study your naked face, perhaps the first time you've truly seen it since childhood. The fine lines around your eyes, the slight asymmetry of your features, the small scar beside your ear from a childhood fall you'd almost forgotten. "Who are you?" you whisper to this stranger. Not Tatsuno the Oiran, not the fish seller's daughter, someone new, unformed. Denziman finds you in the garden, watching sunrise paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. "Did you sleep well?" he asks, settling beside you on the stone bench. "No," you answer honestly, "but it was my choice not to sleep. That makes the difference." He nods, understanding. Freedom takes adjustment. Does it always feel so heavy? Responsibility often does. He smiles gently. In Yoshiwara, others decided everything for you. Now you must decide for yourself. "I'm not sure I know how." "You'll learn." He places a lacquered box between you. "This is yours." Inside, you find papers, your manumission certificate, officially stamped with the magistrate's seal, and a deed to a small property in Fukagawa across the Sumida River. "A house?" You look up, confused. "I thought you might prefer your own space eventually. It's modest, but in good repair. There's a small garden." He gestures vaguely eastward. "Your neighbours would be merchants, craftspeople. Respectable, but not aristocratic." The gift leaves you speechless. Not just freedom, but independence. A place that belongs solely to you. "Why?" you finally ask. "Why do all this for me?" He considers the question seriously. At first, it was desire, then affection. Now, he looks toward the rising sun. "Perhaps atonement. I've profited greatly from silk trade with Yoshiwara over the years. All those beautiful kimonos worn by Oiran. My warehouses supplied much of the raw material." "You weren't responsible for the system." "No, but I benefited from it." He turns to face you directly. "My wife died 20 years ago. My son runs the business now. I have more money than I need and fewer years than I'd like. Helping you seemed right." You bow deeply, genuinely moved. "Thank you, Denzimon-sama." "Just Denzimon now. We're beyond formalities, I think." The following days bring a cascade of adjustments, learning to move through the world without constant observation, speaking normally, not in the affected high-pitched tones of Yoshiwara, making simple decisions, what to eat, what to wear, that were always made for you before. You visit your new property, a modest house near the river. 2 rooms, a small kitchen, and a garden just big enough for a plum tree, and perhaps some morning glories. The neighbours, a carpenter and his wife on one side, a retired fishmonger on the other, bow politely, but eye you with curiosity. Your mannerisms, your speech, your poise, all mark you as different, though they can't quite place how. "Were you a lady's maid in a samurai household?" the carpenter's wife asks one morning as you both draw water from the neighbourhood well. You hesitate, then nod. "Something like that. A small lie, but necessary. Former Oiran occupy an uncertain place in society, neither respectable nor entirely disgraced. Better to build a new identity than explain the old." 2 weeks into your new life, Denzaemon visits your house, bringing gifts, tea, rice, dried persimmons. How are you settling in? He asks, accepting the cup of tea you pour with hands that still move with Oiran precision. Each day feels less strange than the one before, you say, though I still wake before dawn, waiting for attendants who never come. And your neighbours? Kind enough. Curious, but not intrusive. He nods, seeming pleased. I've come with a proposition. Your heart sinks slightly. Here it is, the expectation you've been waiting for. Freedom rarely comes without strings. I'm opening a new silk shop in Nihonbashi, he continues, catering to wealthy merchants' wives, women with money but without the refined taste of aristocracy. And, you prompt when he pauses, I need someone to advise them, someone who understands quality, beauty, and the subtle signals that clothing sends. He looks at you directly. Someone like you, not what you expected. You want me to work for you? With me, he corrects, as a partner in the business. Your knowledge of silk, of fashion, of what flatters different women, it's valuable. Why let it go to waste? You consider the offer, turning it over in your mind like a strange new object. Work, partnership, using your knowledge not for survival but for prosperity. The neighbours would talk, you say finally. A single woman in business with a wealthy merchant. They'll talk regardless, he says practically. People always do. Better to give them something worth talking about. He's right, of course. You've never lived a conventional life. Why start now? I accept, you say, though I know little about legitimate business. You managed to navigate Yoshiwara politics for 16 years. Ordinary commerce will seem simple by comparison. And so begins your third life, not the fish seller's daughter, not the celebrated Oiran, but something new, a businesswoman, a silk expert, a free person making her own way. The shop opens a month later, an elegant establishment with private viewing rooms where wealthy merchants' wives can be pampered and flattered. You teach the young attendants how to read customers, how to suggest without imposing, how to make each woman feel beautiful and special. The obi should complement her colouring, not just match the kimono, you instruct a young clerk. Notice how this deep blue brings out the warmth in her complexion. Skills learned for survival, now deployed for commerce. Knowledge gained through objectification, now used to help other women feel confident. The shop prospers. Women who would never admit to visiting Yoshiwara whisper about the mysterious consultant at Denzaemon's shop who has an eye like no other. Wives of government officials begin to request private appointments. Even a few ladies from samurai households discreetly seek your advice. 6 months into your new life, you receive an unexpected visitor, Yuki, your former attendant from Yorozu House. Yuki. You embrace her warmly, noticing how thin she's become. What brings you here? I've left Yoshiwara, she says, kneeling on your tatami. The house mother made life unbearable after you left, blamed me for not warning her of your plans. I'm sorry, I never meant to cause you trouble. She shakes her head. Don't apologize. You gave me hope that escape was possible. She hesitates. I was hoping perhaps there might be a position at your shop. I've nowhere else to go. You study her face, young but careworn, bearing the subtle marks of Yoshiwara life. Of course, we need another senior attendant, someone who understands quality. Relief washes over her features. Thank you, Tats. She catches herself. What should I call you now? An excellent question. You abandoned your birth name when sold to Yoshiwara. Tatsuno belongs to your Oiran past. Who are you now? Ryoko, you decide, choosing characters meaning dragon child, an homage to your Oiran name, but with a new beginning. Call me Ryoko. As autumn turns to winter, your new identity settles around you like a comfortable robe. Ryoko the businesswoman, Ryoko the silk expert, Ryoko the free woman of Edo. You've adapted your Yoshiwara knowledge to legitimate commerce, translated the psychology of men's desires to women's aspirations, repurposed your understanding of status and symbols for honest trade. The very skills that once trapped you now sustain your freedom. One snowy evening, as you close the shop, Denzaman appears with a wrapped package. "A gift," he says, "to celebrate our successful first year." Inside, you find an exquisite kimono, indigo silk with a subtle pattern of silver dragons, nearly identical to one you wore as Oiran. Your breath catches. "I thought," he hesitates, seeing your expression. "Is it inappropriate? I meant it as acknowledgement of your past, not to remind you of painful memories." You touch the silk, feeling its familiar weight. "It's beautiful, but I don't wear such things anymore." "Of course," he looks embarrassed. "Forgive my thoughtlessness." There's nothing to forgive. You re-wrap the kimono carefully. "Perhaps we could sell it in the shop. Some merchant's wife would feel like royalty wearing it." He nods, accepting your decision. "There's something else I've been meaning to discuss." His tone turns serious, and you brace yourself. Throughout your new relationship, a question has hung unspoken between you. What exactly does he expect in return for his generosity? "I'm returning to my home province in the spring," he says. "I've purchased a small estate near Lake Biwa. My son will take over the business here in Edo." "I see." You keep your voice neutral, though questions tumble through your mind. What does this mean for the shop? For your position? For your fragile new independence? "I'd like you to buy my share of the business," he continues, surprising you. "You've more than proven your capabilities. It should be yours entirely." "I could never afford—" "We'll arrange fair terms," he interrupts gently. "Monthly payments over years, no different than any other business arrangement." You study his face, searching for hidden meanings. "And us? What arrangement do you envision there?" The question is direct, perhaps even rude, but you're no longer bound by Oiran etiquette. Freedom means asking uncomfortable questions. He smiles slightly. "I'm an old man, Ryoko. I've enjoyed your company these past months, your conversation, your insight, your presence, but I harbour no illusions." "You never pressed for more," you observe. "I purchased your freedom, not your affection." He looks toward the snow falling outside. "Perhaps in another life things might have been different, but we both carry our histories with us." The honesty between you feels like its own kind of intimacy, deeper than physical connection, more genuine than the practiced seductions of Yoshiwara. "I'd be honored to buy the business," you say finally, "though I'll miss your counsel. You've outgrown the need for it." He rises, preparing to leave. "I'll have the papers drawn up." At the door, he pauses. There's a rumor that the magistrate is considering new regulations for Yoshiwara, stricter accounting practices, limits on debt accumulation. He gives you a meaningful look. "Some say our case created useful precedent." You absorb this information, thinking of the women still trapped behind Yoshiwara's gates. One small change in a very old system. Change begins somewhere. He bows. "Good night, Ryoko." After he leaves, you sit by the window, watching snow blanket the street. Somewhere across the city, lanterns glow in Yoshiwara. Oiran entertain clients. Attendants prepare elaborate hairstyles. The cycle continues, but something has shifted. A precedent set, a small crack in an ancient system. You think of Uma, the young Oiran who bowed to you as you left. Of Yuki, now sleeping safely in her own room in your house. Of the jade dragon that still sits on your small altar, a reminder of your journey. Spring arrives with cherry blossoms scattering like snow across Edo. Your business officially becomes yours alone. Ryoko's Fine Silks, catering to discerning women of means. You hire another former Yoshiwara attendant, then another, creating a small network of women helping women. Your reputation grows, not as an object of desire, but as a woman of taste and business acumen. You hear whispers when you visit the theatre or stroll along the Sumida River. That's Ryoko-san, the silk merchant. They say she once, the rumours vary. Some say you were a lady-in-waiting to a daimyo's wife. Others claim you studied in Kyoto with master weavers. A few come closer to the truth that you were once associated with Yoshiwara, though in what capacity remains deliciously vague. Let them wonder. Your past belongs to you now, to reveal or conceal as you choose. One warm afternoon, as you arrange a new display of summer kimono, a familiar face appears at your shop. Mizuki, once your rival at Yorozu House. Tatsuno, she says, then corrects herself. Ryoko-san, now, I hear. Mizuki, you bow slightly. What brings you to Nihonbashi? She looks older than her 25 years, the subtle tremor in her hands revealing the early stages of lead poisoning from years of white makeup. I've left Yoshiwara, she says simply. My patron finally purchased my contract. Congratulations. You mean it sincerely. He's married, of course, she shrugs. I'm to be his second wife. A polite fiction, but the house is pleasant, and he's not unkind. Will you stay in Edo? For now. She studies your shop with undisguised curiosity. You've done well for yourself, better than most who leave the floating world. I was fortunate. You were clever, she corrects, and determined. A hint of their old rivalry flashes in her eyes, but it's softened now by shared experience. The housemother still curses your name. This makes you smile. I consider that a compliment. It was meant as one. She hesitates. There's talk of other Oiran following your example, questioning their debts, seeking legal review. Good. The single word contains years of vindication. Mizuki nods, then turns to go. At the door, she pauses. I never hated you, you know. I envied you. There's a difference. I know, you reply. I never hated you either. After she leaves, you find yourself thinking of all the women still in Yoshiwara, the Oiran in their gilded cages, the attendants scrubbing floors, the little girls newly sold who don't yet understand their fate. One woman's escape doesn't change the system, but perhaps it offers something just as vital, hope. That night, in your small house by the river, you sit on the Engawa porch, watching fireflies dance above your garden. The plum tree you planted has begun to blossom, its sweet scent filling the evening air. Tomorrow, you'll review the shop's accounts, meet with a silk merchant from Kyoto, perhaps visit the public bath, ordinary tasks of an ordinary life, precious in their simplicity. From across the river comes the distant sound of shamisen music, someone practicing the same songs you once played. The notes float through the darkness, connecting past and present, the woman you were and the woman you've become. You close your eyes, breathing deeply, not in the controlled pattern of an Oiran maintaining composure, but in the natural rhythm of a free woman at peace. The jade dragon sits on a small shelf beside you, no longer hidden but displayed as a reminder of survival, of transformation, of the long journey from a fish seller's daughter to Yoshiwara Oiran to independent merchant. Some nights you still dream of the floating world and Baimski, mained soul, Yov white, mained soul makeup. And heavy kimono of figure-8 walks on 10-inch sandals. But now when you wake, it's to freedom, to choice, to a life that belongs only to you. The music fades. The fireflies dim. Night deepens around you, soft and welcoming as the futon that awaits inside. Unlike the hard tatami of your childhood or the watched bed of Yoshiwara, this one cradles you in genuine rest. As you drift towards sleep, you think, this is what freedom feels like. Not perfect, not without complexity or contradiction, but wholly, authentically yours. And that makes all the difference.